In today's episode, I'm joined by the spinning rail guy, SKATE3TOMMY. If you don't know who SKATE3TOMMY is, he's very prominent on TikTok in the Skate3 community. He is on the EA Skate Player Council, and he was even seen in the We're Working on It trailer where he asked about the spinning rails, and that kind of turned into a meme. And yeah, that's who he is. That's Tommy. In this episode, we talk about a bunch of different things from the legacy of Skate 3 to the new Skate game, the Skate Council, how Skate is on TikTok compared to anywhere else. Like, we talk about all sorts of things that have to do with Skate. Of course, he's a great dude, and I had a fantastic time talking to him. This was a great interview. I loved every second of it. Tommy was really awesome. So you know me, I don't want to waste any more time than I need to, so let's just jump right into the interview. I hope you guys all enjoy my interview with SKATE3TOMMY. SKATE3TOMMY, welcome to the show, man. How are you?
I'm pretty good, man. How are you? Thanks for having me.
I'm doing great. Yeah, no, thanks for coming on, man. I appreciate you taking the time to do this.
Absolutely. Like I said, I appreciate being on here with you. So,
So before we get into anything, before we talk about you or skate or anything, I hear you have quite the unboxing for us.
yeah. So I've been waiting for this. I feel like a week now, and it got here today. So I thought, why not open it while I'm here? So
Sounds good.
it's a
Let's
box.
see it. What is it?
We all know this shape well.
Yeah.
And, the deck. It's certainly a deck.
It is a skateboard.
Is it? Yeah.
So this is the
Undoubtedly.
first time I've seen someone unbox something on a podcast, I think. Is this a
It
new
just
thing?
felt right. I could have opened it earlier, and believe me, I wanted to, but I'm like, why not? It's about skate, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So, what I have here, sorry for the loudness, and it's not in perfect condition. I will tell you, there's a few scuffs.
That's understandable.
But I got my hands on a 2010 PAX East deck.
Man,
And,
looks so nice.
not to, but a super cool dude in the community, Huckman, however you want to
Oh,
pronounce it, gave me the opportunity to get it. He's super cool in the community, and he's kind of amassed a lot of stuff. And what's really cool about him is that he's trying to get it all into the hands of like skate community people. Not like eBay,
yeah,
whoever buys it for a collectible. So I think he wanted this in the hands of someone that will keep it indefinitely, and I will. So shout out
for
to
sure.
Huckman on YouTube and Huckman42 on Twitch.
Yeah, big shout out to Huckman. I don't know how he does it. I don't know where he gets all this stuff from. He's
Yeah,
always finding like shoes I've never seen and stuff like
he's
that.
like
I
the
don't know.
Indiana Jones of the skate.
Right.
So, he said, I think I'm the only guy in the world or something I've seen that had six of these." So I'm like, okay.
Like where do you even get that from? Like I don't get it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think he just puts in a lot of work just looking through the internet trying to find this stuff. But it is really cool. I saw him give the Dem Bones deck to Nick. He really wanted that deck, so it is cool what he's doing.
Very,
So big
very
shout out to
fitting for
him.
Nick.
Yeah, it is. Well, cool. I appreciate you showing that off, man. I'm jealous. I wish I
For
had
letting
that
me
deck.
open it on the
Yeah.
podcast, man.
um, so let's get into the episode. Who are you? Who is SKATE3TOMMY?
Skate3Tommy is an aging skate player. I started playing when the demo came out for the original skate game. Back then, I went by Quagmire 85, which was very
Okay.
dated. So it really tells you, like, Family Guy was big still. So, and I'm just a guy from New York City, kind of, grew up hanging out in the parks and And when I wasn't outside, I was typically playing skate. Not necessarily a gamer, but definitely a skate player. And I've always kind of been into more of like the oddball sports, you know, extreme sports, things like that.
Yeah.
I was never fully into like, you know, the sports you think of: basketball, football, baseball, all that stuff. So,
Right.
and then
Cool.
Skate
Yeah.
Tommy was born on TikTok during COVID, just randomly thinking I was going to archive some stuff and nothing would happen from it, but it'd be there if I ever wanted to look at it. And here I am today.
So take me through that. You make a TikTok and you start posting skate stuff. Like what? How does that end in you becoming like on the player council and all this big stuff? Like what happened there?
So I was just kind of plugging away. I was scrolling through and seeing it, and like if you're a skate player and you see that on there, like you know, like finding money on the ground, your eye lights up. And it just kind of gave me the idea, like, okay, people are doing it. And there wasn't a lot of people doing it. So I just kind of put a few things out there and kept plugging away. And it was like several months. And I'm talking, you know, a few hundred views here, a few hundred views there. And luckily, at one point, I had posted a Thread the Needle at Memorial. It's kind of, I think, what I would say is probably my most famous clip is like the super dude flip through the pillar thing.
Yeah.
And the algorithm smiled on me that day. And ESPN had come across it and reached out to me and said, "We'd like to use it." And you're not going to say, "No, don't put a clip of this 14-year-old game of mine on ESPN." Like, absolutely. And then from there, it kind of like snowballed a little bit. So shout out
Right.
to ESPN as if they need it. But, you know,
Yeah, that what's so like you just wouldn't expect ESPN to like enter the story, you know?
yeah.
Like how did that happen? Like what, first of all, where did they post that? Like does ESPN have like a gaming thing?
No, they just put it on ESPN. And I think it kind of aligned with the announcement that Skate was going to come out. So they used three of my clips and they threw like one random other clip in there. And I will tell you, it was super grainy. Like they took what I sent them and expanded it crazy. And I'm like, oh, this is horrible, but I don't care. And they
Yeah.
just posted it on ESPN. And then Sports Center was their side on Instagram. So Sports Center and obviously whatever their little subsidiaries, once you tell them yes, they're like, yeah, ship it here, do that, whatever.
Right.
So that's how that all happened.
That's so interesting. Yeah, you wouldn't expect ESPN to be reaching out. I would think that was spam. Like if ESPN hit me up, I'd be like, okay, this is like spam, right? Like,
Yeah. Yeah. But for me, it wasn't just about me being on ESPN. It was like just knowing, like for the skate community, that they were willing to
yeah,
put EA Skate, you know, which is, you know, 13 years old at that point or something like
yeah,
that. Or you know, and that they were doing that was like, of course, like why would I not? And why would I not want to be the
100%.
guy that they use? So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So you do that, and then I'm assuming after that, you kind of your TikTok's just growing after that, right? Like,
Yeah, it started to grow pretty good. I always say that on social media, Skate, although we have a strong community, we're kind of like we have the guest room, you know what I mean? We have to make the most of the
yeah,
small corner that they allow us to have. And I think I think when you're talking about algorithms, there is luck involved. I think when you hit that one big thing or the right person talks about you, then you do get a little bit of a boost, but that also kind of pushed me towards pushing myself to make sure that like I'm going to try to put the best stuff I could do out there, and
hmm,
hopefully that resonates with other people.
right, right. So when you're putting these TikToks out there and stuff, are you getting feedback from the team? Like, at what point was the team like kind of reaching out to you, or like were they commenting? Were they saying
No,
stuff to you? Or
they didn't say anything to me. It was shortly after the ESPN deal. Um, a random dude who I'd never talked to before on Twitter. Now, I mind you, I'm on Twitter, but I look at Twitter almost like a sideshow. It's like, oh God, look what's happening there, you know? But
yeah,
it turns
yeah,
out to be a really good place for people to reach out to you. So I'm having this like really like casual conversation with just a random dude named Jeff, right? And Jeff's like,
okay,
"Hey man, really like your stuff. Cool, blah blah blah." And I'm chatting, and You would think I would have known who he was, but I think we did that a few times where we talked and I didn't realize. And then he kind of approached me with the like, you know, we're doing this, this is a thing, it's real. And we're looking to build like a player council because we want people on board that are players helping us guide, or just having that perspective. So
Yeah.
it kind of all started from there.
Dang, so you didn't even realize Jeff was
Jeff Braddock
Jeff,
reached
like
his hand down into the depths and said, "Hey, man." So
huge shout out to Jeff.
yeah, you almost can't
Um,
say it enough for Jeff. Like huge shout out.
oh, dude, yeah, forever shout out to Jeff, dude.
You know.
He's a legend. Um, but for TikTok creation, like, what exactly were you posting? Like, well, still, like, is it all just thread the needle? Is it just I've seen you like create your own challenges, like proposing to other people.
Um, we could use proposing loosely, and not to be that guy, but like I do a lot of challenge. I guess you can call them challenges or stunts, right? They're not thread the needle. I feel like I kind of really came in hard with that, and people. It's such a you don't have to skate or play the game to know that someone squeezing through a tight hole flying 100 miles per hour is kind of cool. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So I kind of ran
yeah,
with that. And then other people have kind of like taken that stuff, and the majority of them with good intention, dudes that are in the skate community, and then a lot of dudes who kind of like just know that skate's popping at the moment, so it does help them. And then if you're gonna use a guy's stuff, it might as well be cool, and he might as well be a dude who like a decent amount of people know. Um, so there's a few out there who have said that I've challenged them to stuff, but my challenge to people, honestly, is to use their creativity. I'm very big into concepts. So like a spinning rail and grinding it and or sliding it and ending up in the same spot, it just comes to my mind as can you do that? So I like to
yeah.
prove that concept. And then my hope is that someone then takes that and either builds off of it or one ups it or, just does it really well.
Mm,
Because I find it amazing that things that haven't been found can still be found today in skate. And it's kind of
yeah.
crazy, you know?
It is. It is insane. Like you're still seeing people do things that have never been done before,
Yeah.
and it's like
Like
this
how are
game's so
NBDs
old. Like,
being done 14 years later or some odd years later?
yeah, exactly. Like new glitches are still being found. Like all sorts of insane stuff. Um, but the I've seen you create like obstacles, like obstacle parks in Skate 3.
That's been more recent. Yeah.
Yeah, that was very recent. I've seen like you did like two of them, didn't
I
you?
did two of them, and those things were fun because it's great to have like mass appreciation from people who aren't in the community. But when you build something and 20 of your content creator skate friends are like, yeah, I want to go try that, it's just as rewarding.
Yeah.
Um, so we all know that in the new skate, obviously, you're seeing a lot of like that being able to grab and pull yourself up and kind of that parkoury stuff. And so I thought, well, we're not quite there yet, but why not kind of start something? So like imagine the stuff that I've built obstacles in Skate 3, but like start kind of getting the creative juices flowing for what may be possible down the line when you've got all new controls and things like that. So
Yeah.
and I've seen a few others kind of build things like that, but I thought, you know what, why not have like a time trial? Kind of like American Ninja Warrior type deal, you know what I mean? I
Mm,
just thought it'd be a cool little
that's really
concept.
cool. That stuff is like it seems like it takes a lot of time. Does it take a lot of time to kind of create that stuff, or does it just kind of come to your head and you just throw it out into the park creator? Like,
Um, it just kind of starts by thinking of one object, like one obstacle, and then building off of that and what works for that. Some years ago, I built, forgive me if I'm saying this wrong, it's like a Rube Goldberg, Rube, whatever,
yeah,
contraption. And that's the one that Kotaku had did a story on. And it was like a
hmm,
domino effect that hits a ball that rolls down a thing, and then it landed on a piece of wood, shot a rail in the air, and I grinded it mid-air. So I've always
yeah,
been kind of I love the sandbox aspect of skate. If there's one thing that keeps me playing skate is I'm the type of gamer that never wants to have to do anything. I want to be able to
Mm,
just kind of do what I want. Like if I'm playing GTA, chances are I'm just driving around stealing cars and like, getting chased by police.
yeah.
So I've always dabbled a lot in the part creator side of it. So I mean,
Okay.
you over time you do get a little more, in depth with it, and it does come easier building stuff and knowing what's going to work and trial and error.
Yeah. Are you like when it comes to different things, are you just a very creative person? Seems like you like to create like your own things, you know?
I've just found skate to be a great outlet for that creativity. I
Okay.
find it to be so similar to real life skateboarding or anything that allows you to express something. Although it's a game, I think that it still affords you the opportunities to have creative expression in it. Which is
Mm,
kind of why I always like laugh at the whole gatekeepers and like this is the wrong style. This is this is that. It's like no, it's like art. Like this painting might not be for you, but it is for somebody, and or at least it is for
yeah.
me. So I skate. I started playing. I think I was about 21 years old. So that's kind of dating me. I'm getting up there in age. But it became a very good outlet, and it all started with those 2 o'clock in the morning sessions with my people back then, and just like hitting one spot and figuring things out. And so I think skate's a great game for creative juices to flow.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a perfect representation of skateboarding because that's exactly how skateboarding and skateboarding culture is like it's all about expression.
Yeah,
Um I
there's
feel the
no
same
wrong
way when it
way.
comes to like you said what?
There's no wrong way to play skate
Yeah,
or to skate. You know,
exactly. Yeah, that's how I feel about the play style arguments. Like people get mad at trick lining or trick liners. I'm like, dude, just like play the game how you want to play the game.
I don't know
Like,
why people get mad at trick. So I don't trick line, but I've played skate long enough to know the mechanics behind it,
yeah,
and you can see the difference in styles. So I've kind of like I think recently trick lining's kind of gotten a bad rap, but it's like I started off in skate one comping, and that was a lot of manual 180 advanced tricks and all that, and like
yeah,
trick lining almost seems like the next level artistically above that. It's like a mixture of the competitive and the creative. So I mean I enjoy the hell out of trick lining, to be honest with you.
me too. Yeah, and I can't do it at all. It's way too hard.
I can do it
Like I
in
don't know how
pieces,
some of
but
these.
I'll never put it together like a cowplex or something like that. Like,
Yeah, people just do it like it's just muscle memory. They can just do it with their eyes closed. I feel like it's crazy the type of stuff people do with trick lining, and I'm like, how like I look at people that get mad at trick lining. I'm like, how do you hate on this? Like, look what they're doing. Like this is crazy. Like this is insane.
my
So
mind always goes to what's their hand look like on the controller right now. Like, there's some like
right,
the trick liners are the dudes I almost have like some of the most. For me, it's a repetitive thing. I have to try something for 2 weeks because it's kind of just ridiculous. But like, I
yeah,
think of the ability they have with their hands and a controller to pull that stuff off and to be that quick and on the spot. You know what I mean?
mm,
And to not, the really good ones, they don't really do the same flip trick or they don't throw a varial kick flip in there. Like, so there is a
yeah,
lot of thought process behind it that I respect quite a bit.
yeah, yeah. I'm on the same page with you with that. Um, I want to switch gears to the skate team you're on. I want to talk about that because I feel like I don't know much about any of it really. How did you end up on this team?
Um,
Like,
it's one of the bigger surprises that's happened to me. Like, just to be honest with you, so I'm on Oak Street Locs, right? It's
yeah,
two guys that lived on a street with each other that played a game. One of them is Kelly Litz, and the other one's name is Cuz. So by a stroke of luck, you get invited to play a game. Um, and if you're a mega fan of the skate game and you're like, you get an opportunity to play with Cuz, I mean, that's it, right? Like, what more can you
yeah,
ask for?
100%.
And then just kind of vibing. So I became like, I don't think they ever planned on having a third member, and we're not this competitive skate team. For me, a skate team is like the guys, or the guys and the girls.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
it's the people that you could chat with that night and chop it up and talk about your shitty day. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Um, so that's kind of how that happened, and luckily they've allowed me to kind of adapt the name Oak Street Lokes. I told him that I'll rent a bed and breakfast on the street for a little bit if it'll make it official. But yeah,
First of all, don't try to downplay it because I saw the like fake pro model of your name, dude. That thing is so sick. Like,
the Goonies
I
one,
feel like, huh?
the Goonies one,
Yeah, I don't
is it,
remember exactly, but I
with
remember,
the pirate and the
yeah, and it was like your name on it,
that
and it was like
that was
you're
made
on Oak
by
Street Locs.
Kelly, and it blew my mind because he was like a thoughtful enough person to know like the things I like, and
Hmm.
the Goonies is something I very much like. It's kind of like a one-eyed Willie Skate 3
Yeah,
Tommy deck, and I'll have to make that a real deck at some point here soon.
yeah, you should. But like to have a, I mean, obviously I know it's not a real deck. It's not a real pro
But
model,
it
but
looks
like,
good.
yeah, it's really sick.
Yeah,
So I'm like, nah, you're on the team. You are on Oak Street Lokes for sure.
yeah.
But yeah, that's crazy. I feel like anyone would want to, play with Cuz. First of all, like if you play skate, you're
Last thing I
probably a
ever
fan of
thought would
Cuz.
happen, you know?
Right.
Like, I mean, I've idolized the game since it came out. Like, I like to the point where I say I'm not really a gamer, I'm a skate player. Like that's how much
Hmm.
like I played the demo like it was the game before it released. So to just
Yeah.
have that opportunity, I mean, I'm not going to tell him that, but yeah, it's pretty rad.
Yeah. Yeah, that's super sick. Um, but that's cool. So you guys don't you guys have a YouTube channel. Um, and there's edits on there. Who's primarily making those edits?
That's Kelly Lit.
Okay.
And in my opinion, and right now he's kind of like just stepping it up again. He's part of the player council, so don't let me
Okay.
forget to say Kelly is part of the player council. He's been kind of in the skate family for a long time. He's been friends with Cuz for quite a long time, and he puts a
Hmm.
lot of thought into it. He recently made one. It's like the opener to the show Kids in the Hall, if you ever watched it. But he's a perfectionist, so he'll like look at something and he'll work it for weeks and then be like, "Oh, this one thing doesn't work for me," and redo it all.
Yeah.
He's that guy, but he cares, and Kelly is like he's the guy making all those sick edits that I don't know how to do. And they're real,
Yeah,
and
they're
mind you,
like,
they were a realistic team. Like when I play with the team, it's typically on hardcore, so there's not really any Skate 3 Tommy
oh wow,
buffoonery going on. Like
dang, they play on hardcore.
yeah, they're hardcore players, man. They're
Oof.
like street edit, hardcore, you
Yeah.
know.
No, his edits are really good. Every time I see them, I'm like, dude, this stuff's really good. I don't know anything about Kelly, like really. So, um, next time you talk to him, say I give him props
Yeah, absolutely.
because his edits are
All
sick.
right, I'll let him know.
Um,
I'm sure he'll see it.
um, I want to talk about the new skate game, at least what you can talk about. So, when it was announced, you had already you already knew about it, everything, right? Like,
No, because I think they announced the intention. It felt like
oh yeah, because it was like
prior to
way
Full
before.
Force were in development.
Okay.
Um, and I felt so stupid because they announced it like 3 months after I created the Skate 3 Tommy name, which was like, oh God, wait, now you're gonna do that? Like I just put the
Mm,
three in my name. I could have easily had the option of Skate.Tommy or something.
yeah.
But yeah, so I'm gonna have to figure that out when, when the game fully releases. Um,
So when it was announced, where were you? Like, what did you do? You remember seeing it be announced or anything like that?
yeah. I mean, I think at that point I had been doing so much skate. Like, when you're on social media and you play as much skate as I do and post and watch like real life skating and other people's skate clips, those algorithms don't have a problem feeding you that information.
Mm,
So I'm pretty sure, just like everyone else, it was kind of that like,
that just came across it, and you're just like, oh.
yeah. I mean, I don't care if I was 60 and they decided to come out with it. I would probably have the same excitement at that moment. We've waited
Mm,
for it for a long time. The community has waited for it for a very long time. So I think it's all been a sigh of relief for everyone. Like it's real. And now
Yeah.
everyone's kind of got that jittery tension of like, I know it's real, but I need to put my hands on it, you know?
Yeah. Like it's real and it's out there and we're not playing it. So people are like people are definitely getting impatient. But it's like, look, it's only been 3 years. I need to slow down.
Yeah, I think it's
Like,
been more. I don't know if it's been quite 3 years, but
not all the way. No.
but we don't really know. I mean, like you think about certain games like Metal Gear and GTA and stuff like that. So like, I don't think it's this abnormal amount of time. I think you're adding the amount of time development with the back of your mind adding the time that it's been since the last one came out. So it's not
Yeah,
dudes that are waiting
100%.
2.5 years, 3 years. It's dudes that are waiting 15 years. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
not, so I get it. I get the
Yeah.
angst for it. But after kind of seeing the side of it that I've gotten to see, it's like a lot of people echo the sentiment of like, do it right and take your time. And I think that's the best
Mm,
thing to do. There's a lot of boxes to check off. There's a lot of people to please. So I think those things are all in due time.
100%. I think they're going the right way with it. You don't want to release a product that's not ready because we see that happen a lot in the gaming industry now and it never turns out good. And yeah, I mean, I know there's a lot of people to please. I think there's very high expectations. Do you think it'll live up to the hype? Like all these years of built up hype, do you think like once it's out, people will be like, this is it. Like this is what I've been waiting for.
I think so because I think there's a fine tightrope that they walk of having to please the community that helped wish this back into existence, as well
Mm,
as knowing that you have to capture a new audience for something to live and breathe and go for years. And so my thing is where everyone was upset about the free to play, I think about the fact that this template for building a game was not an option when the last one was built. And if there is a game that will benefit from having the ability to grow and maybe even change over time, I think Skate's that game.
yeah,
If you get it,
absolutely.
if the sandbox is evolving, then why would you not want that?
Mm,
So I think it has a great opportunity to make the next edition of the game using more current technologies and software and building and templates for making a game. So I'm excited. I'm optimistic for the people who've waited a long time, as well as for the people who may fall in love with it for the first time.
yeah. And I think it's a really good thing to have people like you or anyone else on the council. Like, it's such a good idea to have a group of players so close to the game, so close to development. And, like, I feel like that's really going to pay off. I feel like that alone makes me feel like, yeah, they're doing things right. I mean, I already know I have full faith that they're going to do it right. But just having the player council, I'm like, man, like y'all got it. Like
Yeah, and I don't
have
think
it in your
people
hands.
realize like if you look at it as a whole, and I don't know how much people talk about the specific members, but all bases are really covered. You've
Mm,
got a piece of like the realistic filmers, the content creators, the trick liners, the comp players. Like we do have a bit of everything there.
yeah.
So for anyone that may have a fear that like their side of it's not going to get spoken for, like I just want to put that to rest. Like if there's a certain niche that you have within skate, the player council has a member there that is speaking up for you.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's a really good point and I feel like a lot of people overlook that cuz I've seen people be like, "Oh, it's just popular YouTubers, it's just trick liners." But like that's not true at all. Like there's there's people that make realistic edits just in Skater XL that are like on the council like working with these people and I'm like there's definitely something for everyone. I
and
think, like
people
you're
that have
saying.
been down with the game since like the original. So I mean, there are people
Yeah.
there that have been doing this. We've got a member, Brian Wild, that he was one of the people that ran like the Fluck It thing back in the day. So like
Hmm.
you're talking about like there's guys here that have really been grinding it out on this game for a very long time. So when some of us and some of them speak, it really is coming from experience. It's not coming from, I've been playing this for a year on my Twitch stream and I'm not that good, but I'm here. It's like guys who are specialists at what they do.
Yeah.
And like I said, just all bases are kind of covered on that end.
Yeah. Well, there you go, everyone listening. I hope that makes you feel more at ease. Uh,
Players
I want to
first,
ask you
that's the
about.
thing. We're not, I think all of us take it from the perspective of a player. So I want to speak for my fellow community members. I'm not speaking for the company that's making it or anything like that. And I'm not obligated to only say what makes them happy. We're not yes men.
Yeah, nice. I like that. um, I want to ask you about free to play. Initially, when it was, well, I guess you knew about it before, but like when you started hearing free to play, like, did you have mixed feelings about it? Were you kind of like, or did you think it was a good idea?
It threw me off just because I don't play a lot of free to play. If I'm being honest, the only probably like real free to play game I play is Rocket League, which I've gotten into more
Okay.
recently over time. Um, for me, it didn't bother me because I'm cool with like I wear a lot of Vans and like black shirts and stuff, and I don't need all that extra stuff. Like I'm cool with whatever they put in the stock, set of things, and
Yeah.
I'll roll with that forever. So when they announced it, but they said there's no paywalls, you're not going to be left out of a location if your friend has it and you don't have it. Those are the things that matter. To me,
Hmm.
the free to play is great as long as everyone is able to play with each other at any given time and not be separated through that. And they've been very
Hmm.
open about that. And for such a large company to say something like that, it's on recording, right? Like you're not going to
Yeah.
put that out there on recording without knowing that's your pure intention. And they put it out
Yeah.
there right away. So that put me at ease because it's like you're not going to say so. EA is not going to allow that to be said without it being real.
Yeah.
And I think people should have the ability to buy things they want. Like just because some don't like it and don't want to put more money into it. And for me, if there is anything that's purchasable or things like that, I want the game to live on for years. So I want
Mm.
anyone who says like it's free and I don't want to put a dime into that to me is like that means that in the end you don't really care maybe if it dies out. Like I
Yeah.
should, even though I may not buy a lot of things, I want people who do want stuff to have that option because it's just
Yeah.
simply an option. It's not a have to, you know.
Mm. Yeah. I think the paywalls and everything, them saying that was really good. But believe it or not, there are still people that like think they're gonna go back on that, or think that they're lying. Like I've seen that in the community. I've seen people say that, and it's just like I don't know. It's kind of absurd, but I'm like I don't understand why they would say it and then go back on that. That doesn't make any
It'd be
sense. So
it'd be kind of dumb because like all you literally have to do is take those videos where it like literally lists it in writing while someone's saying it, and it's like, you know, I don't think they're gonna have
like
that put back in their face.
right? Like you go in the Discord and there's like a sticker that says like it's like that no paywalls, nothing locked behind or whatever, and it's like they're very serious about that.
Yeah.
So I don't know why people get the idea that it's going to be anything but that. Um, and I guess a lot of the worry that people have right now um, is like the concern for a story mode or lack of the story mode, and they're like, how's there going to be a story mode free to play? Um, so yeah, you probably can't talk too much about like all that,
No,
but
no, I guess I have to tread lightly on that. I mean, if you're a skateboarder in real life, your everyday life is a story mode. What you went and
mm,
skated, how successfully you landed something or didn't, what your grind was. So with that in mind, is anything not a story mode if you're in it? You know what I mean? If you're logging
mm,
on every day and it's the game that you play and today you did this and the next day you sucked ass. Well, sorry, you can cut that out. But like
no, you're good.
that in all likelihood could, that could be your story, like so I don't know.
Yeah.
I think it's all about options and what people want to do, you know.
I love that. I love that mentality. I've never really thought about it that way. Like you log on and you hang out with your friends, like that's your story mode. Like you're making like memories, you're doing stupid stuff
Yeah.
in the game with your friends. Like that's a story mode right there.
Now, for me, I'm not typically a story mode guy. Like, even if I play Call of Duty or something like that, I jump straight onto online. When I turn on my
Yeah,
game,
same.
I'm not really playing challenges typically. Of course, there's that like initial, like when you got a new skate game, you ran the whole story mode, you did it, because you had to see it all. But
Yeah.
after that, I don't touch the stuff, to be honest with you. So, just from my personal perspective, it won't bother me if it's not there. I don't know, and that's not something that we're like privy to at this point to know.
Mm,
So, I mean, I guess I just wait in suspense with everyone else to see, you know?
yeah. Right. Only time will tell, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think you look at Skate 3 and it's lasted this many years with just online and no story mode, no update to a story mode, no new story, anything. And I'm like, it's been fine. So, I mean, sure, it's not the player count dropped off because it's an old game, but like, I think a skate game can live without one if there really is not one at all. I think it'll be fine.
I would like to see the data on even if Skate 3 has dropped off at this point because I feel like in the last 2, 3 years, it's kind of like a movie that's underappreciated,
Oh, it's
like
for
I
sure
Skate 2,
picked
I love
up.
Skate 2. Like my name's Skate3Tommy, but don't get it wrong. Like Skate 1 is where my heart began to grow for the game, and Skate 2 was like, oh, I'm fully in love. And then Skate 3
Yeah,
was like, you know, not that I'm not quite sure about it, but like, I had to develop a love for it. But if you look at it now, like I feel like it's almost doing better now than it has in the previous like 10 years. Like I think it has more viewership, and I think it's like that thing that's not quite appreciated enough when it comes out, but over time a developed appreciation happens for it. And I feel like
yeah,
it's in that phase of its life. And it's
hundred
also the
percent.
thing
It
keeping
definitely,
us it's also the thing that's like just kind of giving us something to bite on until the new one comes out.
yeah, yeah. It definitely, it gained a cult following at some point, um, and now it's like viewed as like you know like a classic game, and I think it's people like you, the whole TikTok scene that's really making the game popular again. Like the game Skate 3 on TikTok seems like it's blowing up. I'm not on TikTok and like just from an outsider's point of view it looks like it's like popping off over there.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, there's a
um
lot. There's a lot of live streaming. Zexy Zek like moved over to there and does some stuff. So like, we've definitely, like I said, although we only have like the guest bedroom in the house of social media, we've definitely filled our furniture in there and no one's kicking us out. Um, and and it's good. It's good for everybody. You know what I mean?
yeah,
So everyone that cares about the
100%.
community, at least, it's good that Skate 3 is actually thriving. And then, it also has its meme ability. We've all seen Steezus recently and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
like, it's I've always called it like you think about EA as like this massive gaming company, right? But to have a cult
Mm,
game that's as commercially successful as it is, to me, it's like one of the greatest cult following mainstream video games of all time. Like I couldn't think of another game that has a community that'll play it for 15 years and be made. I don't know. I find it to be an oddball game for EA.
yeah. 100%. I genuinely think like one day you can make a documentary about Skate 3's like lifespan.
Yeah, it's
Like,
incredible.
yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. But like you said, the Steezus stuff, something like that is like just putting it more and more on the map. Like people will come into the skate Discord every day and be like, "Oh, I just started playing Skate 3," or like, "Oh, I just bought Skate 1. Like I've never played it before." And it's like you see new people still getting into the franchise, which we're going to start seeing that a lot once the new game's out, but it's really cool to see people like so interested from seeing all this content like going back to this classic game that everyone loves. I don't know. I love to see it. The community is definitely thriving right now. So
Yeah. It's thriving and there's some strong members in the community, and I'd say for the most part it's pretty positive. I mean, there's a little bit of toxicity sprinkled in there, and a lot of it comes with like youth, I believe. But I'm fine
yeah,
with it because the youth will be the youth. But for the most
Yeah.
part, I think we have a strong community. I still see a lot of the same names and stuff that I remember playing spot battles with in Skate One back in the day. And the fact that I can
Mm,
still like visibly see that those people are still there, plus just an influx of new people, like you said, um, it just I think it speaks highly to like what could be when the next one drops. You know?
yeah. Yeah, exactly. I think once the new one drops and it's on all these platforms and it's like a newer, updated game, I think it's gonna pop off, dude. I hope it does.
I
I hope it does amazingly.
hope we're all there.
um,
I hope we all get to like dap it up and be like, man, we waited. Here we are. You know, let's get this. You
right.
know, like I'm waiting for that moment.
Oh, dude, I already know. Like, I'm taking off like a week of work. Like, I gotta take off a couple days at least to play this game. Like, just nonstop. Eyes gonna be like bloodshot red by the end of it. Like, I'm going crazy in that game. I think a lot of people will.
Yeah, I might abandon some adulting at that point for a little bit. You know,
You're
there's gonna
gonna
be
have
things I
to.
need to do, but they may not get done.
100%. um, I wanted to go to Skate 2. So Skate 2 is your favorite? Would you say is your favorite, or was it the demo?
Um, Skate Two's map is my favorite.
Yeah.
The feeling of Skate 2, the slight grittierness of it. Um, Skate 3 is very bright and colorful, where you feel that grit more in Skate 2. But I think they just kind of each have it's like having a favorite kid. I don't think I have one. Because
Mm,
Skate 1, like, yeah, you couldn't get off your board, but I was there when when everyone was developing what it was to do a spot battle and to get a high score. And so Skate 1 is always going to kind of hold my heart for what really brought me into the franchise. And then
yeah.
Skate 2 was like, oh, we took it and we smoothed out the corners and look like now you can get off your board and look at this great map. And then Skate 3, I can never shame because it's like honestly provided me with this like little second act in life that I didn't have even in the other games where like I'm Skate 3 Tommy now, you know? Like,
Yeah.
so each one of them has provided me with like, you know, good stuff.
Mm, yeah. I feel that. Like, Skate 2 is my favorite for the map, for sure. But I think Skate 3 is just physics and skating in general. The off-board mechanics just feels a lot better. And there's like more tricks that you can do and stuff. I think Skate 3 is like, it's hard to explain. Like, I see people do crazy things like trick lining, or I see someone like, I know you know who Dario is
Oh
and his
yeah,
like
my
realistic,
fellow
yeah.
Italian skate player. I was just talking to him today.
Yes, the realistic king, right? Like, seeing the way he's able to skate in Skate 3 is like there's so much variation that you can do,
Yeah.
and I think that's what makes Skate 3 just really cool. Like, just
That'd
I
be
don't
a
know what you would call
horrible
it, the
filmer.
engine, the physics.
My filming is so bad that like I envy the dudes who can make things look like that. I just never put the time
Yeah.
into it.
Yeah.
But I wish I did. I think Skate 3 suffered from time frame. I think Skate 3 needed a little more time to fully bake, maybe, you know,
Hmm.
because you look at the success of the other games and it was like, you know, almost like Call of Duty was like putting out a game every year, you know. So I
Yeah.
think there's like certain things in Skate 3, but the thing about Skate is that the imperfections are almost the most perfect thing about the game. It's the most perfectly imperfect game
Yeah.
because you know the glitches and the things that don't quite work right and the weird NPCs and stuff like that. It's like it kind of adds an extra layer to the game that we as players like appreciate. You know?
Yeah. That definitely gives it the charm. I think without all those glitches, it probably wouldn't have lasted this long. So,
Yeah, it's
you
added
know,
some longevity to the game.
yeah, 100%. Yeah. Skate 3 is definitely, I think it's going to be sad to see it. Like, when the new game comes, like, it's going to be sad to, like, move on. I feel like it's going to be like, dang. I mean, you can still go back and play it, but then you got this new shiny skate. So,
Yeah, it will. It will be for me. It'll be kind of like an end of an era for me. Like you know,
yeah.
like I like I said, I'm very thankful for like what it's done for me, and I never expected any of it. Like
Mm,
what so yeah, it'll be kind of like bittersweet, you know?
yeah. Um, what do you plan on doing once the new game comes out? Like your Skate 3 Tommy now, like what do you do after
Tell
that?
me, man. Like, do I just keep Skate 3 Tommy? Will it be weird to be Skate 3 Tommy? Like, they put me in the trailer and put my name Skate 3 Tommy under it, and it's like,
Yeah.
will it be lazy if I don't change my name?
I I don't know. I mean, you can still be Skate 3 Tommy and not play Skate 3. Play the new game.
I've been kind of erring towards that side of it, but I don't know. We'll see. I'll probably definitely continue. I think I need to set a goal for myself to be into YouTube. Although TikTok has done great for me, I don't, when I consume content, it's typically on YouTube because I still have an
Mm.
attention span that lasts longer than 15 seconds. And I respect the grind that goes into making a cohesive 12 to 15 minute, to an hour YouTube video. So I think I'm going to set a goal for myself to like, where I lack is I don't really have computer knowledge. So I'm hoping by the time the new game comes out, with it being on PC as well, that I could kind of be ready to start a little bit of a YouTube thing for myself. So that'll be my goal.
Yeah. Cool. I look forward to seeing it.
I want to show
I'm
people the
ready to see.
process that goes behind like some of the stuff I do.
Okay. What do you mean by that exactly? Like,
When I build things, it's a lot of tinkering. When I think of something, there's a thought process behind it. There's like a lot of times like getting the setup for what I'm trying to do can take as long as like doing it, you know? And I think some people
hmm
would enjoy like, I kind of give them the money shot right away, and it's like I think just on a personal level want to see if I can, get into the YouTube format and give more of myself. Like not many people know anything about me. I've been very like, I'm just Skate 3 Tommy. I'm not very opinionated. I don't, and I'm not saying I want to be, but I think that YouTube allows you to give a little bit more of yourself. And I think
yeah.
that like I want to do that for me and for the community. So
Yeah, there's more you can be more personal with long form content for sure. Yeah, but like you said, like I was telling you earlier, I was like, I mean, I know you're like the guy on TikTok, like you're Skate 3 Tommy, but like I don't know a lot about you, so
yeah,
yeah.
and not
I think
many
it would be
do.
cool
That
to
was
get insight.
intentional. When I started TikTok, my kids were pretty young and they were looking at it, and I don't want to. I didn't want to be super opinionated. I never wanted to come across as toxic. I'm very like cookie cutter, but it's because I want the content to stand out for itself, the stunt, the trick, the thought. But
Mm,
but TikTok hasn't necessarily. Maybe I haven't utilized it enough to do that, but like I certainly feel like YouTube will give me the platform to put more of myself out there and and whatnot. So
yeah. Oh, awesome, man. I can't wait to see what you do. That's gonna be sick. Um, I guess wind it down here. I want to kind of get off of skate, video games, and everything. Um, were you ever into real life skating at all?
yeah, I was never great. I could always
Mm-hmm.
like I've always been pretty average. But as I've aged, it's kind of gone away. I always tell people like I remember being young and feeling like Wolverine. If you sprained an ankle, you went to bed, you woke up, that ankle was fine. And I'm in my advanced 30s at this point, and those things just I'm doing more of the preserve my body than destroy it because I definitely destroyed it
Mm.
when I was younger. Um, I'm not the greatest, but like I can get through a game of skate with someone who knows how to, skate. So
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
yeah.
So
I
you
mean,
could do you got a couple
I
tricks in
got
the
a couple
pocket.
tricks in my sleeve, but I'm not really pushing myself because I'm never gonna get paid to. I'm not good enough to get paid, so I'm not ever gonna.
Yeah.
You
To be fair, it's very hard to get paid
yeah,
skateboarding.
yeah,
So.
yeah, absolutely.
Well, that's cool. Yeah, I always like to see like a lot because there's people that like, yeah, I love skate. I've never skated in my life, or like, yeah, I got into skate because I skateboarded. So like, it's just cool to see kind of where people land on that. Um, so I always ask people that.
And I got into skating
Um,
just to break the barrier here. For people who say, "Oh, Tony Hawk Pro Skater's better, skates better," like, if you're like really into skating and like I was an X Games kid, when it first came out, like from Street Luge. Um, Tony Hawk was the predecessor to like, just being in
Yeah.
skateboarding video games. So it's like, I think people think if you're a skate player, you're like, Tony Hawk Pro Skater
No,
sucks. But it's like, no, that was my entry
dude.
point. The original
Yeah.
Tony Hawk was my entry point into those games. So
Yeah, no, definitely no shade to Tony Hawk on this channel. I love those games too. So, Tony Hawk Underground's like one of my favorite games of all time.
I
So,
think Underground's probably my favorite in the series. So
yeah, Underground's amazing.
it was.
Yeah, I don't see why Tony Hawk and Skate can't coexist. That stuff doesn't make sense to me. Like, they're two completely different games. They're skateboarding, but like they're not alike at all.
Yeah.
So, um, I guess the last thing I want to ask you about is the Braille thing, because I thought that was really cool. So I've followed Braille for a while. Like I don't watch them like every day, but like I've kept up with them and like the people that are involved in Braille skateboarding, and they did the spinning rail challenge. How did that come about?
Um, I think maybe in passing, I've chatted a few times here and there, with, like Aaron Cairo, who is honestly an awesome dude. Like I don't know,
Mm,
I judge people by like how they have interacted with me, and I don't know him on a personal level, but Aaron's been super cool. Um, and I almost forget that they just see it and kind of say something, or I think we might have had talked about like at some point I would like to like try to redo something that you've done, and I think the spinning
mm.
rail just kind of fell into that like because it's not like you're gonna die doing it, but it may not be easy. So he reached out and we had chatted a few times and like they actually made it happen. And as far as highlights as Skate 3 Tommy, it's like for real life skateboarders who like I give them all the credit in the world. Like when you're a real life skateboarder, you're putting your body on the line. I'm not gonna hurt my
Yeah,
thumbs playing the game, you know what I mean? So anything I do on the game that you attempt in real life, kudos to you. But
yeah,
for real life skaters to try to emulate and imitate what we've done on a game or what I've done on the game is just like, the icing on the cake. Um, I
yeah.
think we've talked about him going for it again. I think they halfway completed the challenge. I think there's a little left to do, um, but I would like to see them go at it again.
Yeah. No, that'd be sick. Yeah, I thought that was really cool. Like Aaron Cairo was like, "Oh, Skate 3 Tommy like challenge me." It's just cool to see that like crossover. Like with, I mean, Braille is huge on YouTube. They're like one of the biggest skate YouTubes. So
Yeah.
to see that and like see
I've been
your
watching
name in
them. Like,
there,
I mean, I've watched them to where I remember like the old team, like when Carlos
mm,
was there and all those other guys were there. So like it's not
right?
like when they reached out, I'm like, oh cool, let me look up who Braille is. It's like no, if you know
For sure.
skating, if you know YouTube, like you knew who Braille was. So I mean,
Yeah,
what's next? Like the barracks reaches out to me or something like that. Like what's there left to do on that
dude.
end?
Don't talk too soon, man. It might happen. um, I guess that's really it. I hope I hope to see a lot of spinning rails in the new game when it comes out. I hope you do a lot of things with spinning rails, and I hope
Kind of became a little bit of a meme with that, right? Like
I was just about to say I hope that becomes like a bigger meme
yeah.
because I don't know, it's just funny like, oh,
Yeah, I don't
what's
follow
that
Insane
spinning
Clown
rail?
Posse, but it's like, what is magnets? It's like, do rails spin? And I'm that
Yeah.
spinning rail guy.
Yeah, exactly. You are forever the spinning rail guy.
I'll take it.
But all right, man. Well, I appreciate you coming on and talking to me.
Absolutely. I appreciate you having me. And I hope we do it again. And maybe I can get the team with me. And we can do a
Yes,
team episode.
that would be incredible. Let's do a Oak Street Locs panel,
I like it.
and I'll have to do a whole. We can make it a whole thing. Do a whole quiz show. I'll quiz y'all on skate or something.
I wish you the best. I hope this just keeps going for you and we get everyone on here that you want on here and it'll be cool. Like it'll be you're making a part of the story for when the next game comes out, and you're on the ground level talking to people before we have it. So I think it'll be really cool. So
Yeah, man. I appreciate it. Thank you. And like I said, I want to revisit once the game comes out. as many people as I've had on so far, I want to revisit with however many I can. So if you want to come back on once it's out, we should do
Anytime.
it. All right, man. Well, yeah, thanks for coming on. And that is it. That is my episode of Skate 3 Tommy. I hope you guys enjoyed it just as much as I did. Like I said in the beginning, Tommy was fantastic. He was a great dude to talk to, and he was just all around a really nice guy. Absolutely, go check him out. Go follow him if you don't already. And if you guys enjoyed this episode, let me know down below and just give me your opinions on it. I can definitely say Tommy will be back on this channel. I'm sure we'll do another episode just because this episode was so enjoyable to make. But anyways, guys, that's it for me. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. The third skateboard room is next week, so it's going to be really fun. There's going to be some news to talk about, and I'm going to dive into all that next week. So definitely stay tuned. Look forward to that and watch the boardroom on Thursday. But thank you guys so much for watching, and as always, go play some skate.